Hi, I'm Kimberly Allison from Starliner Music. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to continue with my series entitled Blues Solos with Comping. In these exercises we go back and forth from lead guitar to rhythm guitar accompaniment, also known as comping, within the span of a 12-bar blues. First, I will play blues solo with comping in the key of A, number 9, and then I'll break it down for you. Here we go. I hope you enjoy it. All right, let's break down blues solo with comping in the key of A, number 9. I have a 12-bar blues that I've divided into 3 parts, and in each part we'll go back and forth from lead guitar to rhythm guitar accompaniment, otherwise known as comping. So we'll play a lead guitar lick, and then we'll play some comping, and then we'll do another lick, and then we'll go back to the comping again. So the scales that we'll be using in this example are the major and minor pentatonic for the key of A. And let's start with the major pentatonic. So if you know caged, we're in what's called the G form, and that form would span between the 2nd and 5th frets here. And when I say the G form, I mean the pattern that fits over what's termed as the G-shaped octave. This is the octave shape that would be underneath a G chord or an open G chord. Right now it's moved up to A. So these are A's in the pattern. And I'm talking about the major pentatonic that fits over that octave shape. So technically the root is here. I am going to start at the 2nd fret though, because this is the lowest note of the pattern. So here's the A major pentatonic, G form. And I also have the G form of the minor pentatonic or the blues scale. Now, minor pentatonic and blues scale sometimes get used interchangeably because the blues scale is the same as the minor pentatonic with the addition of the blue note. So again, the octave shape is this. The root is here, but I'm going to start at the flatted 7. So this is the minor pentatonic or the blues scale. Here's the blue note. Again, the blue note is there. So that is our A blues scale. Now that we've looked at the scales, let's go on to part 1. Here's part 1. So we're going to start off with, it's a half to a quarter bend here towards the major third. So many of you know that I like to start phrases on chord tones, and in this case I'm fingering the minor pentatonic scale here, and the note is C, and I'm bending toward the C sharp, which is our major third of the chord. Here's an A chord, there's the C sharp, you can see that's in an A chord, and I'm bending towards that, and then I'm into the blues scale. So I'm using the blue note in this chromatic passage here. And then I'm into major pentatonic on the 3rd string. So that's all major pentatonic there. Blues scale, major pentatonic. And for the comping, I'm going to go over to the 5th fret, and I'm going to use this pattern that I use so often, which is this chord, which is an abbreviated A7th chord. Now, technically it's a diminished chord, but again, I don't want to get into the theory about that at this point. Let's just call it an abbreviated A7. And so I have the flat 7, and I have the 3rd, and I have the 5th of A7. And I'm going to hammer on to the major third in this chord. That way I get that bluesy element, meaning I'm hearing a little bit of the minor third under the bar, the C natural, as I hammer to the C sharp. So in blues tonality, you have major and minor elements in combination. So here's my abbreviated A7. Then I'm going to go to a quick visit to this D triad here. And I'm not really changing to a D chord. This is just adding some motion around the A chord. So D triad and then back to the abbreviated A7th chord. So here's the first part again, or the first half of part 1. And then I go into the next lick, which is starts major pentatonic, and then I have a bend here, and it's a whole step bend, and then I come back to my index finger, and I come down mostly the major pentatonic. Those are triplets. Major pentatonic. Now I'm using the minor third here just to add a bit of a bluesy flavor to it. So minor third, and then I'm back into the major pentatonic. Here's the second, and then I end on the root. I'm using an open root here. And then I go right back over to the comping. Let's put part 1 together. On to part 2. Here's part 2. So I'm going to start with the same idea that I opened this 12-bar example with, and this helps lend a sense of continuity to the 12 bars. It sort of has a call and response conversational feel when I do that. I'm going to start with a bend again that's about a half step-ish. Then I'm going to use that chromatic passage in the blues scale. This time I'm going to bend a whole step when I get to the note E. I'm going to bend to F sharp. And that note is in my major pentatonic. And then I'm going to come down the minor pentatonic. And then this is major pentatonic. The B is the second of the scale. And then I'm going to end on the note A. Now, besides being the root of the minor or major pentatonic, this is also the 5th of a D chord. You can see here's a D chord, and you can clearly see that there's an A in that chord. Now, I'm bringing up the D chord at this point because we have now, at this point of the 12 bars, resolved into a D7th chord, which is the 4 chord in our progression. And so I will be bringing my comping up to the 10th fret and playing the same idea that we did for A transposed to D. So here's my abbreviated D7th, and I'm going to use that little hammer again. And then I'm going to have a quick visit to a G chord, but then right back to D7. So same comping as before, transposed to D. And then I'm going to come back down to this area and play a lick that resolves back into the 1 chord A. And so the lick is... Now notice the lick was mostly major pentatonic. But I ended on this note G, which is in the minor pentatonic, and it's the 7 of an A7. Here's A7, and that is the 7. And so again, I'm ending my phrase on a chord tone. This serves to punctuate the end of the phrase. At this point, I go to my A7 comping again, same as before. Let's put part 2 together. on to part 3. Here's part 3. All right, we're starting out part 3 with the same idea that we started the previous lick with. This time we're ending it differently though. We're ending it on the note E. So again, I'm repeating this idea because it helps create a consistency in the 12 bar. It also creates sort of a call and response conversational feel. Now I'm ending on E here because this E is the root of my 5-chord E, which I have now arrived on when I play the note E. And at that point I will go to comping for E. So as far as comping for E, I'm playing in E ninth, but really I'm using just the top part of it. And I'm walking down to the 4-chord D. So this is like D9. So this is the motion of the 5-chord to the 4-chord. And then I'm back to the chord D and I'm playing a lick over that. This lick is over the chord D, but it's leading back to A. And I'm mixing pentatonics here, but choosing my notes carefully because I'm picking notes that are in D7 here. This note is C, this is A, and this is the F sharp. So these 3 notes together are in D7. So, and then I walk down, and I'm using my C natural again. This makes it sound a little bit bluesy. And then arriving at the root A, right when I hit the A chord of the progression. So this is over D7. And here I arrive back at A. At this point, I go into a double stop style turnaround. I'm fingering double stops anyway. I'm actually separating them into more of a triplet figure. But the idea with this turnaround is that we're walking a chord tone of A, that's the note G, that's our 7, down to another chord tone, that's E, that's the 5th. So you can see that is in an A chord as well. And so we have these chromatic tones in passing. And we're going to combine those with the root A. So I'm starting off my double stop turnaround with the note A, and I'm going to combine that with the note on the D string in a triplet manner. So I'm going to go and end up on this A power chord, which involves the note E here. So turns into, and then I approach the root of my 5-chord E, again chromatically from underneath, and then I go into an E7 chord. This is the top part of an E7 chord, and then I end on the 1 chord. Now this chord is going to be A7, so I have an open A, and then I'm playing a standard A7, but I'm adding one note. I'm adding this note B, which is the 9th, so technically now I'm playing an A9th, and that's the chord I'm ending on. Let's put part 3 together. That's it for Blues Solo with Comping in the key of A number 9. I'm Kimberly Allison from Starliner Music, and I hope to see you back on my channel soon.